Hello, and welcome to this explainer. Right up front, I'd love to just invite you to take a deep breath with me. Go ahead, soften your shoulders a bit, and let's just slow down for a few minutes. Today, we're diving into something that's honestly so fundamental, but it gets so easily lost in the exhausting rush of our daily lives. We're talking about the art of noticing. We live in this world that's constantly demanding we look outward, right? It pushes us into this perpetual state of autopilot, where we're just managing schedules and fulfilling responsibilities. But beneath all that endless productivity, there's this quiet, persistent pressure to perform. So today, we're going to learn how to gently step out of that exhausting cycle. All right, let's just dive right in. Imagine you're standing in your kitchen tomorrow morning. The early light is just starting to peek through the window, and you're holding a hot cup of tea or coffee in your hands. Now, this simple moment, it literally holds everything you need for pure presence. You've got the warmth of the ceramic against your palms, the rising steam, that really profound quiet of the early hour. But as you take that first sip, where is your mind? Honestly, it's probably miles away. You're mentally drafting an email, or maybe dreading a meeting, or just running through a never-ending list of errands. And before you know it, you've swallowed the tea completely on autopilot without really tasting a single drop. Before you even realize it, the cup is empty. And that brings us to a rather heartbreaking question, one we all really need to reflect on. Are you observing your life? Are you actually living it? The real tragedy of this super common autopilot moment is that, well, you're functioning perfectly on the outside. Nothing actually went wrong. There was no crisis. But internally, you're completely distant. And when this pattern repeats across weeks, months, and even years, the cumulative effect is this profound sense of emptiness. We kind of start treating our days as just obstacles to overcome, We convince ourselves we'll pay attention later, but that space to simply exist just keeps shrinking and shrinking. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how our very own language reveals the solution here. Just think about the word attention. It actually comes from the Latin word attendere, which means to stretch toward. In our culture, this stretching is pretty aggressive. We're constantly forcing our attention onto things, and honestly, it drains our mental energy. But awareness, which comes from the Old English gewær, is something entirely different. It means being spacious, watchfully awake, and deeply receptive. It isn't about aggressively forcing your mind to focus on a single tiny point. It's really just about leaning back and observing what's already here. It's shifting from doing to just being. Now, if you find yourself constantly drifting away from the present moment, I want you to know something super important. It is not a personal failure. You aren't broken. It's actually just our evolutionary neurobiology doing its thing. Specifically, it's a brain region called the default mode network, or the DMN. From an evolutionary standpoint, this network was great. It helped our ancestors anticipate dangers and learn from past mistakes to stay alive. But today, an overactive DMN basically traps us in a cycle of constant mental chatter, self-evaluation, and worrying about the future. It is literally the biological engine of the autopilot life. But don't worry, because fortunately, we have a built-in biological antidote to the DMN. It's called the insular cortex, or simply the insula. This is a remarkable little region of the brain, and it's responsible for interoception. Basically, that's your brain's ability to perceive and interpret the internal state of your own body. We're talking your heart rate, muscle tension, your emotional resonance. The insula processes all of that. So when we intentionally practice the art of noticing, we activate this region. And when the insula lights up, we get to step right out of those exhausting mental stories and directly into our physical reality. And this brilliantly illustrates the contrast happening inside your head right now. On one side, you have the default mode network keeping you trapped in that mental chatter, living in the past or the future, essentially locked in survival mode. But on the other side, the insular cortex grounds you in interoception, the present moment, and nervous system regulation. Shifting your focus to immediate sensory experiences literally rewires your brain dynamics. It pulls you out of a stressed survival mode and brings you into a state of really beautiful, grounded internal coherence. So before your default node network pulls you right back to your to-do list, let's actually practice this together. I want you to anchor your awareness to your physical reality right now. Feel the smooth texture of your mouse, or maybe the glass of your phone screen. Just really notice it. And hey, while you're physically anchored there, why not gently click that like button? And for sure, remember to hit subscribe, because we release a brand new, thought-provoking explainer just like this one every single Thursday. You definitely don't want to miss them. Okay, so let's see how we can easily build this into our daily lives. To build our capacity for awareness, we honestly don't need to isolate ourselves on a mountaintop or dedicate hours to rigorous meditation. We just need simple, non-invasive anchors. The first practice is called the sensory anchor. This is just a really gentle interruption to your automatic thinking, and it uses a completely mundane, daily physical task that you're already doing anyway. Here's exactly how you do it. First, just choose an activity you do every single day, like washing your hands or opening a door. Second, right before you begin, just pause for the duration of one single breath. That's it. Finally, perform the action while deliberately engaging your senses. If you're opening a door, notice the exact temperature of the metal doorknob against your skin. Listen to the specific mechanical click of the latch. By flooding the brain with immediate sensory data, you temporarily short-circuit all that mental chatter and anchor yourself firmly right in the physical present. Our second practice is called the internal weather report. This is a direct practice of self-attunement. It's really designed to honor your individual timing, strengthen that insular cortex we just talked about, and create a truly safe internal environment for your actual feelings to emerge. So twice a day, maybe when you sit down at your desk in the morning or during your evening commute, just simply close your eyes for 60 seconds and ask yourself, what is the weather like inside me right now? Notice any physical tightness in your chest or maybe a lightness in your limbs. But here is the absolute most important rule. You have to observe these sensations without trying to alter, fix, or judge them in any way. You aren't trying to change the weather. You are just acknowledging that it's raining or that the sun is shining. Now, our third and final practice is the gentle inquiry pause. This one is incredibly powerful for those moments when you experience a sudden shift in mood. Like a burst of frustration when the grocery line stops moving, or a sudden wave of anxiety when you read an unexpected email. It's all about creating a tiny but absolutely crucial gap between that emotional stimulus and your automatic reaction. When you notice that sudden mood shift happening, just pause before you react. Mentally ask yourself, is this feeling entirely mine, or am I reacting to an old story? And just allow that question to sit quietly in your mind. Do not rush to find an intellectual answer. So the crucial point is that in this small gap of inquiry, you naturally loosen your identification with your automatic habits. You aren't just reacting blindly anymore. You're actually opening up the space to make a truly authentic choice. When we begin to cultivate awareness in these really small, everyday moments, the rewards are subtle, but they ground us so deeply. First, we gain emotional clarity, recognizing our feelings as temporary waves rather than absolute truths. We also experience reduced mental fatigue because stepping into simple awareness acts like a mental reset button, totally lowering our baseline anxiety. We discover deeper self-honesty, learning our true boundaries instead of just living by external expectations. And most wonderfully, it brings an end to this relentless culture of optimization. We finally realize our value absolutely does not need to be earned through continuous performance. I want to leave you with this incredibly comforting realization directly from our source material today. It says, you do not need to become someone entirely new to live an authentic life. I just love that. True transformation is rarely born from loud, aggressive effort or constantly pushing yourself to be perfect. Real growth is just a quiet act of remembrance. It's the result of noticing the small fragments of your life as they actually happen and allowing those unnecessary expectations to just naturally fall away. You simply need the space and the gentleness to return to the essence of who you have always been. So, as you move forward from this explainer and step back into the rhythm of your day, I want to leave you with this one question to just sit with. What small moment will you finally notice today